Sam is physical, Sadie's emotional, what they feel like they have to endure. It's their cross to bear. It's a really interesting dynamic, but the fact that they both have it is why we continue to have these non-communication moments where they cannot be vulnerable to each other. And I don't know if it's to preserve sort of their innocence because they've known each other for so long. They don't want to lose each other. So sharing their deepest shame could push them away. Yeah. Anyone got thoughts on that?
Their relationship is definitely complex, and especially given that how they met, their beginning of being each other in the hospital, as much as good of friends as they were initially, their first break with Sam basically ended the relationship because of his suspicions of her bled through to the rest of the book. It continued farther and farther, and basically they ended up mistrusting each other a lot, in part because of that first bad moment, and I don't think they ever got over it the proper way.
Wow. Forgiveness.
Yeah. So since they didn't resolve their conflict in a mature way, in a healthy way, it never really really went away. So it just ended up compounding later on.
Yeah, that's a really good observation. They never really addressed it, and it set the tone. It set the tone for we just ignore this, or we hold a grudge, or we opt out if we don't like where it's heading. Even though there were times where it's like Sam and Sadie earlier in the book had promised each other when shit gets hard, it's like they forgive each other. But you can't forgive what you don't talk about, what you don't acknowledge, what you can't, forgiveness is a verbal, not always, but, it has to be an acknowledgement, whether to the person individually, I forgive them, you admit it to yourself, or you admit it to the person who's wronged you.
Yeah, like at the end of the fourth chapter, they have a scene where they basically smoke a joint together, and so they say they forgive each other because they're mad at each other, but they don't really forgive. They say that is a process, it's something they do, but it's not an actual true forgiveness. So
yeah,
it's just one of the things that they're just papering it over instead of actually dealing with it properly.
And both of them find a lot more comfort than ignoring the problem or distancing themselves, disassociating, than conversing. She Bakes sometimes says, my impression was that Sam was smoking pot to deal with his pain. He was, but this is the thing. What he's doing and his motives and his actions and how Sadie reads them are different. She's going, I'm just super vulnerable to you. I'm sharing you everything, and all you did was just light up. Whereas he's going through this chronic pain, but he's suppressing it, so he's not able, doesn't tell her what's happening with her. So he's smoking to try and subside the pain, but he's not actually sharing with Sadie that he's experiencing pain. Miscommunication and assumptions. Kate says Sadie has no clue that he's in pain since he's never mentioned it once. Exactly. She's so unaware. So she's trying to build her own narrative because she has no evidence and no understanding and no truth behind the situation. Kate says Sadie can't forgive Sam because she's parasocially putting her feelings on top of Sam. She can't forgive herself for the shame, so then she can't forgive Sam. Yep, that is a cycle that you really can't break from. That's sort of a done and dusted sort of thing. Rudian says, strange that Sam can never answer Sadie's declaration of love towards him, and yet it's got zero issues calling her my wife upon entering the hospital the night before the amputation. He even said that, and he was like, there were these sliding doors moments so often as well, where Sadie's like, I wanted to go and tell Sam, I wanted to apologize for my behavior, but I got swept up into this, taking Molly or ecstasy. And then Sam's like, I really wanted to talk to Sadie about that one thing, but then something else kind of like derailed the conversation. So it's this conversation that they're both trying to have, but life gets in the way. But yeah, he obviously, like, everyone knows that he loves her. Everyone knows that he loves her. I think Sam is asexual, and I want to kind of break that down a little bit. But Vaden says, I think it's because the environment and subject allowed Sam to be open. He loves talking about games and he hates talking about himself. There you go. That's why he shone in the spotlight. Kate says Ichigo is like a shield or a costume for Sam. He can shine through Ichigo because no one's looking at Sam. I don't think Sam and Sadie would ever really be able to be a romantic couple. I don't think that Sam has that capacity. It's interesting when he finally tries to have a relationship with the girl that he went to high school with. Upon trying to talk about those feelings, she's like, are you ashamed that your foot looks different? Is that why you don't want to be naked? And he's like, no. What was so fascinating was he was kind of trying to say so much, like, the only feeling that I'm able to feel, basically, the only feeling that consumes me all the time is pain. And he's trying so hard to nullify the pain. He's trying to stop pain from being there. He's trying to disassociate from that. Pain as a feeling has dominated so heavily that it's actually cost him pleasure. He would rather feel nothing than have to feel pain and even pleasure now. Yes, Chris, his description of sex was very medical. It's a disassociation. He's not feeling, he's thinking through the processes of intimacy in like a medical lingo as a form of disassociation. But it's so fascinating that pain has been such an overbearing feeling and such a constant that it's cost him pleasure. And I wonder if he would have that same experience if he wasn't in that car accident, if he wasn't feeling chronic pain. Kate says chronic pain takes up your entire life. It alters your personality. My friend's husband has brain surgery, had brain surgery as a baby and had a shunt that was causing him neck pain through his whole life. He recently had that shunt removed and it's changed him. He's so much lighter and happier for the most part. I agree. I absolutely think chronic pain has almost immobilized his sense of desire. He has engaged, he's had sexual partners. He's just not enjoyed it. And he doesn't want that vulnerability of being naked. He doesn't want to have that conversation really. He doesn't want to have to show and expose himself, but he also doesn't want the results of it. Pleasure is not enough for him to push through discomfort. It's just if he can choose neither, then he would rather choose neither. Whereas Sadie craves that level of intimacy. Sadie loves being seen, but she also loves the comfort of sort of like belonging. And we're starting to see as Mark's and Sadie's relationship unfolds, the chemistry that they have and the comfort and the ease of it all. Even though Sadie absolutely loves Sam, it is much more in a platonic way. And even though Sam knows that Sadie's more than a friend and more than a business partner and he truly does love her, I don't think he's capable of loving her in the way that she wants to be loved. And so they're at a bit of a stalemate. But I also know that Sam's like, I want her and I want to be her number one and I don't want anyone else to really have her, especially Mark's, because Mark's day one put the word down. He was like, hey, Sadie's kind of cool. Can I date her? And he was like, yeah, go for it. Wait a second. No, that's my Sadie. Don't come near her. But Mark's has always had that attraction from day one. It just took a while for Sadie to kind of get there. But I totally feel for Sam in that moment where he is losing. Like there's 3 of them and 2 of them are pairing off. That has to be devastating. You want to talk about an isolating, lonely feeling. It's feeling like you don't have what they have and you never will. And he's losing Sadie without really acknowledging that he kind of lost her a few years ago because they wouldn't fucking talk.